They had very lucrative deals in the US with Netflix and Spotify, $100 million from Netflix, $20 million from Spotify. But the question now is about their future earning capabilities. Those deals have been downgraded and scrapped retrospectively. Meghan has launched her As Ever brand, but we don't know how lucrative that is. Certainly moving to Britain could give it a bit of a revamp. An American market would lap up British produce, and it would certainly give her more content for that. But as you said, they've got some pretty expensive overheads. They've got the property in Montecito, which they're maintaining. And yes, the chickens are staying there.
Now, we know the royals are rich, but are Prince Harry's finances getting a bit stretched? He's just landed back in the UK with his wife and children on a private jet. He's found a new house and his children are enrolled into schools, probably not state ones. He's also just had a multi-million-pound loss in a court case against the Daily Mail group. And the Times this morning estimates it's going to cost him $600,000 a year to keep his house in California. He's got a whopping mortgage there and high property taxes to pay, and that's before he finds someone to look after the chickens. He also doesn't seem to have much work on. Reports suggest that he wants to be a full-time father, possibly a house husband, a noble calling, but not famously that well paid. Royal correspondent Sarah Hewson is with us. Morning, Sarah.
Morning to you, Calum.
There's a lot going on as we try to determine what future Harry envisages for himself in the UK. And crucially, I think at the heart of this has to be about how he's going to afford to function, really. Have we got any indication as to where they'll generate money from, generate income?
Well, it's a very good question, Calum. I don't think we need to worry that this couple are on the breadline. We know Harry had a lot of inheritance from his mother, notably. They had very lucrative deals in the US with Netflix and Spotify, $100 million from Netflix, $20 million from Spotify. But the question now is about their future earning capabilities. Those deals have been downgraded and scrapped retrospectively. Meghan has launched her As Ever brand, but we don't know how lucrative that is. Certainly moving to Britain could give it a bit of a revamp. An American market would lap up British produce, and it would certainly give her more content for that. But as you said, they've got some pretty expensive overheads. They've got the property in Montecito, which they're maintaining. And yes, the chickens are staying there and are going to be, we're told, well looked after there. They've got a new home here in Britain. The dogs, Mia and Pula, have come with them. They have a property in Portugal. They have school fees, we anticipate. And depending on the outcome of the Home Office review and Ravek's review, they are continuing to have ongoing security costs. So there are some pretty big overheads, not to mention the bill due this Friday, tomorrow, for the interim payment on that court case against the Daily Mail.
Yeah. Just quickly as well, Sarah, there's no indication that the King is going to help out with any of these costs, is there? He does that for other members of the royal family, even though they may be at arm's length.
Well, there's no indication on that at this stage. And you may remember that in the Oprah interview, Harry famously said that the reason they had to pursue these commercial deals was because his father had cut him off financially. And so the King has said that he's looking forward to spending time with them in a personal and private capacity. The Sandringham Agreement stands. They are non-working royals. They're not entitled to money from the taxpayer or from the sovereign grant. And as it stands at the moment, we don't know, but it doesn't look as though he's receiving any money from the Bank of Dad.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Good to speak to you. That is royal correspondent Sarah Hewson.
We're going to be talking a bit more about Harry and Meghan later on in the programme. We thought we would speak to our panel about it. Ed Vasey and Charlotte Ivers are with us today from 9 o'clock. And we're going to put it to them, this kind of debate about how much we should even bother talking about Harry and Meghan, because the story is one of thousands on the Times website, on thetimes.com today, and it's the top of the most read list. So there is interest in this story. There are many other things people could read, and they're choosing to read about this. And yet there's often a bit of a, we don't want to hear about Harry and Meghan. How much are we talking about it? How much should we be talking about it? And how much should people give them a bit of a break now they're back here in the UK? We'll tackle that with our panel after.
But let's also wonder how they'll be received by you, by British people, and by the British media. Should they be given a second chance to live a good life in Harry's home country? Royal correspondent for Newsweek, Jack Royston, is with us. Morning, Jack.
Good morning.
Good to see you. So, I suppose, first of all, my questions around this are, how much are we going to hear of Harry and Meghan? Are we going to be inundated with updates, every 5 minutes? Or actually, could they, in theory, live a relatively private life here?
Well, so far, we're being told very little on the record. So that might indicate a slightly quieter approach than we've had on past visits to the UK. On the other hand, we do expect to see Harry fairly soon at the World Child Awards in September. And so, I'm sure there will be some reconnection with his UK-based charities. Harry likes to visit them. He likes to connect with them. I'm sure he'll be doing that. I don't think that they're going to be, complete never seen. I don't think they're just going to be living quietly in a house in the Cotswolds and that's the last we'll ever hear of it. I think we will see them in public at points. We probably won't see the kids. It will be interesting to see to what extent Meghan updates her Instagram profile, because obviously that has been a key window into their lives while they've been in America, and presumably she will keep going with that.
One of the things about this as well, Jack, is that there are kind of fairly consistent and constant requests for privacy, whether that's in the US, whether that's here. I just wonder how that will play out as well. In the old days, they'd be besieged by paparazzi. These days, there's much more protection, there's much more regulation. I wonder from your point of view, how you intend to cover Harry and Meghan. Is it a case of waiting for them to kind of appear at public events, or will there be some level of pursuit of these two, I suppose?
Well, at Newsweek, there will not be a kind of physical, on-the-ground pursuit of the Sussexes, because we don't do that kind of thing. Not least of all, we're a magazine rather than a kind of old-fashioned newspaper. But we won't simply wait to be told things. We will try and speak to our sources. We will try to find out what we can through the kind of normal channels. And also, a lot of what we do at Newsweek is write kind of big-picture analysis pieces about what things mean for the royals and so on. So we'll be doing a lot of that. But there are potential areas of conflict down the line between the Sussexes and the media. I would wager my mortgage on it being the Daily Mail that they have conflict with if they do have a big row with someone. Obviously, relations between the Sussexes and the Mail, Harry in particular and the Mail, are very poor. And it would not be at all surprising if it turned out that it was the Mail that did something like publish photos of the house they're living in. That would inflame them. They have made it very clear that they don't want anybody to reveal the location they're living in or the school that their children are going to. And that is probably the most likely point of conflict at this stage.
Yeah, I think that's one to look out for. And just quickly, Jack, if I could get your thoughts as well on how they are going to fund their lifestyles as well. It's something we've been considering this morning, because we understand that their 9-bedroom mansion, which they're going to keep in California, is going to cost $600,000 a year just to maintain. Is there any indication that you can interpret as to how they will fund their lives? Will they be working?
Well, one big question there is security. Harry has a lot of money saved up, and that will cover them depending on what their costs are. And obviously, $600,000 a year, that's a lot of money for the house in Montecito. But it's actually, the security bills. When they first moved to America and they first started getting quotes for how much their security was going to cost, it was multiple millions every single year. If they wound up getting police protection in the UK, their costs would drop significantly. It may well also be that their UK home is not particularly expensive to maintain, depending on where they're living. But if I was in Meghan's shoes, I would, needless to say, still be kind of shopping around trying to see if there are other acting roles that she can pick up while here. Because actually it would be hugely beneficial to them if they could continue building new streams of revenue. And this is an important thing to remember, is not to assume that all...
Oh, I think Jack has frozen. His line has just frozen. So I don't know what we shouldn't assume.
Don't assume anything.
Don't assume anything. Never assume. In any case, that's royal correspondent for Newsweek, the brilliant Jack Royston, on Harry and Meghan returning. Polling suggests that a majority of people don't care about Harry and Meghan. Data suggests that actually there's a reasonable level of interest in what they're up to, and so we will continue to battle with those two realities in the next little while.
We will. It is 8:46.